No, this is a sick joke.
I was like, are we in a simulation? What's going on here?
This is not real. We're just like looking at each other like, no. And it's gotten dark now too.
Welcome back to the Rangeless Travel Podcast. We're your favorite adventure travel hosts. I'm Britt, and this is Ryan. Together, we travel the world by plane, train, and '89 Ford Sportsmobile, capturing the beauty, adventure, and culture in every corner of the globe. Currently, we're traveling the U.S. in an old van with our two dogs, Layla and Cedar. Every Tuesday, we share stories and tips to inspire you to book that next trip. So go ahead and don't be shy. Follow along with us at Rangeless_ on Spotify, YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram. Let's dive in.
Somehow, we drove from Williamsburg, Brooklyn, New York to Tennessee in our beat up, broken down, '89 Ford Sportsmobile. How we made it, Ryan and a wish, I think, and our fingers crossed.
At times we thought we weren't going to make it.
Yeah. But if you follow us on our social media, you'll see that Ryan, for the past 6 months, has been fixing up our '89 Ford Sportsmobile that we lovingly call Thelma.
Yeah, I've done pretty much everything to this van. It's easier to list the things I haven't done, but it's got a new engine. I didn't do the engine, someone else did. All the fluids are changed, new spark plugs, the new brakes, new suspension,
computer,
I rebuilt the computer in it, like a whole new solar system, replumbed it. Everything is done. Everything is done.
Yeah.
But I was having a niggling issue before we left out with the ignition. The engine would cut out every now and then, and I got a fix kit that was supposedly going to fix the issue. Put it in, test drove the van for 2 whole days, no issues. I was like, okay, she seems good. Time to hit the road.
Yep.
Let's load her up. We spent 2 whole days loading up our entire lives into this van.
Because we plan on traveling in her for the next 2 years around North and Central America.
Yeah.
So this is it.
This is our home
This
now.
is our
We're
home.
in our home.
Mm-hmm. And if you follow our podcast or you follow us on social media at Rangeless_, because you should follow us. We're fun. You'd see that when we drove in, our first trip was from New Jersey to Brooklyn. And as soon as we crossed over the bridge into Staten Island, we died. But then we made it into Brooklyn.
We didn't die. The van died.
Well, yeah.
And yeah, it cut out for like 2 minutes. We pulled over, let it cool off for a second, turned it back on, started right up. We got all the way to Brooklyn. No issues. Mm-hmm. We were in Brooklyn, in Van Alley for like a week. No problems.
And then it was time to go to Tennessee for the holidays.
Right. So it was almost like 900 to 1,000 miles of distance because we didn't take the interstates. We were taking the back roads. Mm-hmm. We wanted to enjoy the ride, and we don't like driving that fast in the van. It's not fun.
She's not meant to go fast.
No. So we're heading out of Brooklyn. We're heading towards the Verrazano Bridge, getting into Staten Island, going through Jersey and into Pennsylvania. And it's going perfectly fine all the way through Brooklyn. It's running like a top. No issues whatsoever. We get over the Verrazano Bridge. This is in the middle of the night now because we're trying to avoid the traffic. We get into Staten Island, like within like 30 seconds of getting into Staten Island.
Not even 30 seconds. Like, we made it over the bridge. We're still in
We're
the
coasting
decline.
down the bridge.
And she's like...
Dead. And I'm like, oh my God.
He looks at me, he's like, she died. And I'm like, no. So we pulled over and made like the split section decision that we were going to just look for the homeland. Crackle Barrel.
Yeah.
Because basically it was, let's get out of the city. Because we're in Staten Island. Like, it's no longer like New York City, but it's still New York City.
Built up, and
like,
there's going to be traffic in the morning. We're trying to get away from the traffic.
We're just
trying
to get through. So we got to the border of like New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and we found a Crackle Barrel. We stayed there for the night.
Right. Wake up the next morning.
You had an extra piece. Because this wasn't a mechanical issue, by the way.
It's an electrical issue.
This is an electrical issue.
That happens every now and then, not all the time. I had an extra module, like it's a TFI module. It controls like when the engine fires and the ignition that keeps the engine running. It sparks the plugs and all that. It's the piece of the computer that controls that. And it was giving us issues. Like it gets too hot and then it overheats and then it stops working. So I had a spare one because I had a feeling that if anything was going to go wrong with the van, this was the thing that was going to go wrong. Yeah. So I had an extra one. And we switched it out that night.
At Crackle Barrel, on that first night going towards Tennessee, he switched it out.
Yeah.
The next morning we get up, we go into Amish country, and we're cruising.
Yeah.
We're cruising for like a few hours. Like all morning we're just cruising.
Right.
And Ryan's loving it. He's like, wow, look at that tractor. Wow, look at that tractor.
Look at the cows.
Look at the
Wow.
cows. And he'd never seen an Amish person before
Nope.
or an Amish buggy or anything. He's like, wow, they got a cart and buggy. So we're just like living. Ryan is like,
I was like, we could stay here for a couple of days.
I'm like,
This is cool.
we don't need to stay in Pennsylvania Amish country for 3 days. We can keep going.
We should keep making, yeah.
So all of a sudden,
It
she
cuts out
cuts
again.
out. And we do what we always do. We pull to the side, turn her off, wait a few minutes, turn her back on, keep going.
Yeah.
And usually then she'll keep going for like a few hours. Nope, 5 minutes, done again. 5 minutes, done again. 5 minutes, done again. And we're like, oh no.
Yeah.
So I think that you originally looked up, you're like, okay, I need to look up like an AutoZone that I can find this another piece at. So he starts looking up that, and there's one like 40 minutes away. I also look up at the same time I look up where Planet Fitness was, and there was
the same place.
It was like
it was
the
in
same
York,
town.
Pennsylvania.
It was York, Pennsylvania. They had them both, so we're like, we just have to make it to York.
Yeah.
It was bumpy, and we weren't really sure if we were going to make it to York because we were still like 40 minutes away. But we make it to York. We park in the Planet Fitness parking lot. Ryan jumps on the motorcycle and to go get this part.
Yeah.
And he comes back, he changes out the part, we go in, take showers, do the whole thing. But we still don't know if it's any better or not.
No.
We sleep there that night, wake up in the morning. Crossing our fingers, things are better.
Yeah.
We take off on the road and...
Not even like 20 minutes down the road, this thing is running so bad. It's so much worse than anything else. Like there's something wrong with the part that they gave me, and we're already 20 minutes out the road. And we're in the middle of nowhere. I'm like, oh my God, I need to take this piece out because it's going to cause damage because it's like misfiring, backfiring, everything. I need to take this out and put in the old one that was causing so much problems yesterday. Yeah. That's better than the way it is right now. So I took it out, switched the parts, put it back in, and we hit the road again. And it was going okay for a while. It ran for about an hour, and then it would run for like another hour before it cut out again. And
but we were able to make it all the way to Virginia that day.
Yes, we got to Virginia. We found another AutoZone.
A new part.
I returned the faulty part, got a new genuine Ford part that they didn't have in the other place, put that in. So now I have like this one and then the one I know is bad. So we start driving the next day. We stayed that night. We stayed that night there first. We slept there that night. And then we start heading out the next day, and we make it like 6 hours.
Yeah.
A solid 6 hours that day.
Yeah.
We stop at a gas station to feed the dogs and use the bathrooms and make our own lunch,
stuff.
Whatever. We're probably there about an hour. And then we start up again, and probably like 45 minutes after that, it cuts out again.
She starts again.
Starts causing issues
We're
again.
Like,
no.
No.
At this point, I am tearing my hair out because I'm like, this one issue has been driving me crazy for weeks. Yeah. Like weeks. I thought I fixed this so many times. It's just heartbreaking.
So we keep going, we keep trekking on, and all of a sudden it starts snowing.
Yeah, and at this point now, we're in the Appalachian Mountains on the border of Tennessee. And it is cold. It is remote. Because like we're on the back roads, remember, we're not on the interstates. There's like very little plows. There's very little like salt trucks, anything like that. Yeah. And we're driving through a blizzard because it's completely
like
white out. You can't see. Got the window wipers going crazy, and we can't see it more than like 20 feet in front of us. Yeah. So we're like crawling, and I'm like, I don't think this is a good idea.
Yeah. So we go a little bit further, and we decide, okay, we're gonna get off this exit, put gas in the van, and maybe we'll just stay here.
Right.
So we put gas in the van. They don't have propane fill there.
No,
and our
we're
propane,
running low.
We're running low, and that's what heats the van. So I'm like, you know what? Look up the Doppler, because now, of course, it's stopped snowing. Obviously,
yeah. As soon as we set up to pull in for the night, it stopped snowing.
Yeah, it stopped snowing. So I'm like, you know what? Let's pull up the Doppler. So we pull up the Doppler, and we see, and I'm like, Ryan, how long do you think we have before? Like, how far do you get? He's like, we probably have 40 minutes.
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay. And then he had the smart idea to say, well, why don't we go down to some lower elevation? Because we're in the mountains right now.
Yeah.
Let's go to some lower elevations and drive through that and just get as far as we can. Because where we were was so remote. If there's a big storm coming in, they're not going to have plows. They're not going to have salt. And we were so low on propane. If we got stuck in like an unplowed parking lot, it could start getting dangerous.
Yeah, we wouldn't have...
We wouldn't have heat.
We would run out of heat. Have no heat.
So it would start getting dangerous. So we're like, you know what? Like, let's just keep going. There's nothing There's nothing like right now, and if we can at least
And
get
it
40
stopped,
minutes.
yeah. So like if it didn't stop, we would have stayed where we were. But
yeah, but if we can get 40
we got
minutes
a
down
break.
the road, let's go for it.
And we could see on the Doppler it was coming up from the south. So we're like, let's head out west, get low as we can, as fast as we can, and try and like dodge it.
Mm-hmm.
So we're driving for 40 minutes, and we're getting into the lower, like on the
areas,
foothills, like, but still up there. Like it's not like in the valleys or nothing. And we're driving, and then we start getting hit with more snow. And
right as we get hit with more snow, we start noticing the street signs.
Yeah, like the street signs changed
Glacier Avenue.
color. They made them blue, and they were like Glacier Avenue.
Yeah. Wonderland Place.
Like
Icicle Lane.
Reindeer Road.
We're like, no, this is a sick joke.
I was like, are we in a simulation? What's going on
like,
here?
This is not real. We're just like looking at each other like, no. And it's gotten dark now too. So it's very dark.
Mm-hmm.
And it's still snowing. And we're seeing all these like Winter Wonderland Palace. We're like, no, hard no, stop that. So we get through this. And we start going down, and all of a sudden the snow stops.
Yeah.
The van's running at this point pretty good. And there's no more Wonderland Icicle Glacier Lane. And we're like, this is good. At this point, we're a couple hours out from my mom's. She's like in between Knoxville and Nashville. So we're like, we're getting pretty close. Like, let's just try to get there because we're not trusting the van. Like, we're just not. So we just kind of hightailed it.
Yeah, it cut out like 3 or 4 more times on the way there, but eventually we pulled in here. It was late at night.
Yeah, it was maybe like 2 a.m.
Something like that. And I was just so relieved to finally make it here.
Yeah, and we made it.
And we've been here for
ordered
like
a new part.
2 weeks now, and we've ordered a new part, and it's in the mail. And I'm fingers crossed that it will fix it, because I ordered a relocate kit to keep the thing from getting overheated where it was and putting it in a cooler spot. And then I emailed the guy who sold me it, and he said that he had a bad batch come through, and that could be what's causing my issue. Mm-hmm. So fingers crossed that that's the issue, and that I don't know how long. I'm going to have to test this thing for like a week to make sure that this actually fixes the problem, because right now I have no trust in the van. And if we're stuck, like, I don't know. I don't know how we're going to keep going on if it keeps causing issues like this.
Well, we're going to have to figure it out.
We're going to have to figure it out.
And that's it for this week. If you want to stay more up to date with us, you can follow us on @Rangeless_ on Spotify, YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram. And until next week, wish us luck. Bye.